From the traditional and unceded territory of the Caledonia First Nation and the heart of northern BC, welcome to the CNC Podcast. 50 years, 100,000 alumni. At CNC, we're learning together, changing lives, and creating futures. Welcome to the CNC Podcast. I'm Mark Cargelotto. Academic upgrading is an important specialty here at the college, and that can include helping someone get a better grade or helping someone to take a course that will unlock a door to a new career for them. We have a number of people who have been wonderful successes in academic upgrading and then have gone on to study other things at the college. And my guest today is one such person. Jayden Roach did academic upgrading, has now found herself in the health sciences program, and we're really thrilled to have you here on the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So can you tell me what brought you here to do academic upgrading? What's your story?
So the whole reason why I went into academic upgrading was because I kind of struggled in high school. Mm-hmm. I also found that I was working during my grade 12 year, which unfortunately did affect my grades. And then I traveled for a couple of months. And then when I got back from my travels, I knew I kind of had to kick it in high gear and get my grades up there. And CNC offered the program, and that's where I signed up for it. I really appreciated everything that they did for me. So,
can you tell me what you struggled with and maybe how it was different at the college for you?
Actually, it's hard reflecting on it because I was so young at the time. But I really took my job and I decided that was more important than my education. And I found that even going to high school that I just didn't have that motivation. I didn't really jive with my professors. Like I felt like they treated me more like a kid. Whereas here at the college, you get treated as an equal, it feels like. That may be just my own experience with it. But otherwise, I found that with my professors here, I was able to come up to them when I actually was struggling and talk to them. And they knew that I had a life outside of school. I had work. I had to provide food on my own table, everything like that. Where high school, they kind of just tell you, be here, do this, everything like that. And they expect you to, basically fall in line, I guess.
The experience is different then.
Yeah, exactly. Just different personal aspects were affecting my experience of high school. I don't know. That's just my own personal experience with high school. No.
Did you have a goal when you came in to do academic upgrading? I mean, you said you wanted to kick it into high gear, but were you thinking that, okay, I'm going to do this specific career when I'm done?
Actually, at that point, I hadn't decided fully what I wanted to pursue. I kind of started here because I knew that I needed to get my math grade up. I needed to get my physics grade up. And otherwise, those were the two that I was focusing on. And then as I started here, I found out about the medical radiography program that was offered here. And I found out that I was just missing my biology mark being upgraded. And then I could apply for this opportunity here, which I was very surprised about for the medical radiography program being offered here in Prince George, whereas the other place that it's offered at is at BCIT, and Vancouver can be so expensive to live at and everything like that. So
you didn't see, though, medical radiography as a door that you were going to go into until you got here and were doing upgrading, though. Is that correct?
I did have, I wanted to. There was definitely a part of me. My sister is a medical radiography tech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's always it was always in the back of my mind as something I wanted to go towards, but I didn't, it's
this
a sibling thing.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't want to go and take away her profession. In my mind, I was like, oh, that's her thing. I got to figure out my own path. And then finally decided that path was actually for me. So
that's great. Yeah. So what's it been like studying medical radiography? What have you enjoyed about it?
Oh, everything. My class, I have amazing students in our class. My profs are amazing. My sister actually is one of my profs now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I have to say my profs are the best, but.
And she's not going to give you a hard time in that if you don't say that she's the best.
Yeah. I'll hear something about it at the family dinner, but But otherwise, the profs they're easy to communicate with. They have total understanding that stuff comes up. You have to go to the doctor, dentist appointment, stuff like that. It's a very mature environment. It's very understanding that life impacts your education occasionally. And what you can do is just have the support from your profs, from your fellow students, and from, of course, your family members and anything like that to keep you pushing forward.
So forgive me for kind of going back a little bit. Medical radiography, now it covers a few different things, but these are basically medical imaging techs. So x-ray techs, not ultrasound, no, that's sonography. Can you tell me about some of the other disciplines that are part of medical radiography studies that you've done?
Yeah, so actually for medical radiography, they do give you the opportunity to try out different areas that you can go into. Mm-hmm. For example, CT, being computed tomography, is one of the options they give you, and they give you a bit of a taste of that in clinical as well, so that once you're graduated, if you want to pursue it, you can. And then there's also MRI, and that's magnetic
resonance imaging. Yeah.
Sorry. And then there's also mammography, which speaks for itself. But yeah, it's definitely kind of nice to have that opportunity to pursue education after you're done, if you want to, of course. And then also too, even just in medical imaging, I don't think you realize how much X-ray techs actually have a hand in health. We are there for traumas first on the scene. Well, maybe not first on the scene, but definitely in the background, waiting to get called in.
Yeah.
So we're there for any traumas. We're there for OR cases. So when you're getting surgery and stuff like that, we can be brought in to assist for imaging wise. And then there's fluoroscopy, which is basically assists with anything that might be like pain clinic if people are having chronic pain and they have to go get steroids or anything injected or anything along those lines. They might
like a
come
guided
into.
injection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that'll be under fluoroscopy. So I think it's just, I personally didn't realize how much the scope of X-ray covered until I experienced it in clinical.
Now, you've learned, though, basically through the pandemic, I presume. So you would have, it's 2022 now, you would have started in 2020. What was that like?
Lots of donning and doffing, I'll just say.
Gowns and protective equipment? Yeah,
so definitely being very cautious of what we are sterilizing and everything like that, keeping everything clean. If anything, it was almost a benefit as a student to start off during the craziness of the pandemic.
Why is that?
Our techniques, our sterile techniques, everything like that is just superb. As like students, I know that you tend to occasionally forget some stuff if you don't get to practice it a lot. And we got to practice our precautions.
Yeah.
Very adamantly
all
during
of that
time.
Gowning, putting on gloves, putting on masks, face masks, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel confident myself. I'm not worried about myself getting sick or spreading it to family members, bringing it home or anything like that because of the fact of going into our clinical rate at the beginning of COVID. Mm-hmm.
So now you're about to graduate. What's the next step for you?
I actually am pursuing a job in Terrace after, so I'm hoping to work there full time. And then I am hoping to go into computed tomography, which is one of the options. And then hopefully down the road, I do want to eventually go to mammography, but I might take a little bit of a break from education after that. So
fair enough. Has there been a struggle along the way that you thought, you know what, I just have to power through this, or you had someone who supported you through it?
Oh, yes. I think if you talk to anyone who's in the medical radiography program, they can say along the same lines of how difficult the program is, how many times I've definitely mentioned that I wanted to drop out, which is an absurd amount, but unfortunately it's just that workload that you are given and you are expected to achieve is so, at the time when you first start, it just feels so unachievable. But here I am, I've just finished my finals for my 5th term, And you do get through it.
That's got to be a huge sense of accomplishment then.
Yes, definitely. And big shout out to my family members, even my significant other. They've supported me along the way. My profs, I've cried a couple of times to them as well. So,
and what would you say if you would have gone back before you did academic upgrading, and what do you think that you would have given to yourself as advice along the way?
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Start sooner than later. Even just going into upgrading was such I'm just so proud of myself of making that choice, making that decision, because I wouldn't be here in the medical radiography program without my upgrading program. So thank you.
And what advice do you think that you would have given, or that you would give to a student either looking at upgrading or even looking at medical radiography and the path that you've chosen?
I would encourage them to do it. I would give them a heads up that there's going to be times where it feels impossible and it doesn't feel like you're going to make it to the end, and just to keep pushing forward. Honestly, you will get to where you want to go. And as my mom has already always told me growing up, education can be the lightest baggage to carry. So even if you don't know what you're doing and you go into the upgrading program, you're getting your grades up, you're continuing your good habits of studying, everything like that. Really, it's beneficial in the end.
Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations, not only on upgrading, but MRT. And we hope that you've got a wonderful career ahead. And we're really grateful that you joined us today.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.